Well, hello everybody. Once again, this is Don Smith, and today I want to continue on with a second part video that I promised you in the last video, where we took a look at three of the really incredible AI products that have come out from Topaz, and those being DeNoise, Sharp, and Gigapixel, all artificial intelligence programs. And in that video, I told you that I would be recording a video just looking at Topaz DeNoise AI, and here we are. This is an image. Let me give you the backstory, and then we're going to take a look at another product and Topaz DeNoise and compare the two. And I happen to think these are the two best currently going on the market if you're looking for a noise reduction program. So the backstory on this was when I started doing the recent African workshop. I was co-working that workshop with Pierre Steenberg, and we had Henning de Beer from South Africa, who's a renowned wildlife photographer and expert, along with us. So we had a really good team, and we started in Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe, shooting Victoria Falls. But there happened to be a water hole outside of the place we were staying, and we weren't allowed down into the water hole. Just to the right of this, though, there was a blind that we were able to get our group into, and that was really exciting. But I noticed the first couple evenings in that right after sunset, this herd of elephants would come down and start feeding. So the third night, I got back a little early from what I was doing and grabbed my tripod and set up on the deck near the swimming pool with my Sony A9 and my Sony 100 to 400G Master equipped with a 1.4x teleconverter. And that gave me a maximum aperture at f8, not really optimum for shooting long glass. This is when I would have begged to have had either my 400-2.8 or my not yet purchased 600 f4 to get a couple stops extra of light, because the sun had gone. It had set probably 20 minutes prior to this picture, but out through these trees you could see the trail of dust coming, and it was like, oh my gosh, here they come. I gotta grab my camera and try to make a picture. So what do? Well, I was limited. I went all the way out, which I rarely ever do on my ISO, to 12,800. And that, I just knew I was asking for trouble. Then I went with my widest aperture, which was f8. And then to try to get this picture, I started at a shutter speed of 1/40th. And that's what you see here. That's from years of experience of shooting motion with the elephants coming at me and moving slowly. I held my breath, I shot some at 1/10th, 1/5, and they just got a little too much motion blur in there for my taste. This was the shot I really liked, because these two elephants in the foreground are actually being lit with a, I'm not sure what type of light it was. It was some sort of tungsten lighting. It was very weak. I wish they would have had something stronger. But it was enough where it delineated them off the other elephants coming through. But what I really loved in this image more than anything was this kind of trail of dust through back up and through the trees. And this is what we had to work with. So I'm going to show you two ways on how I approached trying to deal with the noise in the shot, and then you make up your own decision after you see the two ways. I think they're both really good, but let's just work through this together. So I've come out of Lightroom already with this image, and all I've done in Lightroom, well, actually with this image, this is the raw file. I haven't done a thing. I take that back. I have routed it into DxO PhotoLab 2, and the only reason I own this program, it's a full raw processing program. Really, there's two reasons, but the first reason was because if you follow the mouse cursor over here, is what they have a proprietary prime noise reduction. Now, their CEO, I've seen him on various YouTube videos, claims you can take to 2 to 2.5 stops worth of noise out of an image without any degradation to the image itself. And that's quite a bold statement to make, but you know what? It's true, and I've run so many tests with this that it's really true. The other reason now I'm glad that I do own this program is it allows me to dock my NIC collection, and I'll plan another video for another day where I'll walk you guys through all of that, because now the NIC collection is owned by DxO, and it is housed right in the PhotoLab 2 process. So really nothing much to do here. I do have some presets up here if I wanted to go to them. Let's try standard just for the heck of it and see what it does. And it's going to give this preview a little bit of a boost, not much. And then I'm going to make sure I'm clicked on over here on my noise reduction. I want that tab on. And then I'm going to say export to application, and I'm going to get this box, this export to application options box. So I want to route it back into Adobe Lightroom Classic. If you want to route it somewhere else, click your Browse tab and find where you want to go. Want to do it as a TIFF in 16-bit. The resize, I just leave all of that alone, and I'm going to click Export. And I'm going to have to use a unique name to overwrite because I had obviously rehearsed this before I did this video. And you can see now, follow the little hand down here, this little blue tab. It doesn't take long. When I first started working with DxO, this could be a 6 to 8 minute process. And, a lot of it, again, is going to be, excuse me, as I'm talking, I'm going to click the import button here to bring this picture in. And there it is. And let's blow it up. A lot of it is how fast your computer is, how big the file sizes are. Again, this is coming from an A9 camera. So the file size was 24 megapixels, not a huge file. But the first thing I want to do, you see it will be tagged open with #1 TIFF. That was because it overwrit the other file, my test file, by the same file name. So don't get too hung up on that. I'm going to tap on my D key to get me into the develop module here. And instead of coming into the basics module as we would normally do, I'm just going to come right in here to the curves. I'm going to make sure I'm in linear mode and not parametric. And I just want to see if there is enough detail back in there to even make it worth my while. The red you're seeing is because I have my highlight alert turned on. I could go up here on the histogram and turn that off. And you can see this has done really a very good job of taking the noise out of the image. All that noise that was in there to begin with is gone, and it's retained the details in the animals very well, I think. So let me get back over into my library tab here. We'll come back to Africa, and let's see, we're going to come to trying to find my original here. This should be it. There it is. And let's go back into the develop module. And let's see originally, before there was any noise suppression, once again, what it looked like. So you can see clearly night and day. DxO optics is, it did what is advertised. But is there something better? Let's go ahead and clear this curve adjustment off. So what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and we're still on the original raw file now. And Command or Control E is going to get me into Photoshop. And there's the original raw file. Okay. And what I want to do this time now is I want to come up here before I do anything to this file. And I want to come down to Topaz. And we're going to come into DeNoise Artificial Intelligence, or DeNoise AI. Now, I've run some tests with this prior to recording this video. So one of the things I would like to see done in DeNoise, and there may be a way around it. Again, you have to forgive me. This is only day 3 I've been working with this software. Is to stop all of this that's going on at any time. You can see up here in the models, it defaults to DeNoise AI, but I also have an option to go to DeNoise Clear. And then they have an auto brightness preview, which I think is genius. So I'm going to click on normal to brighten that up. You can see that's quite a pasty looking image, really not something I would like, nowhere close to what DxO Optics is doing. But here's what we discovered in Africa that I think is pretty cool. I'm going to come down to another model called AI Clear. And it's going to run through its cycle here of generating a preview, and that's fine. And then I'm going to walk you through some of the options that I did. The first thing is in removing the noise. I think there's a ton of noise in there. So I'm going to go to high, and I'm still not clear if that's where it should be. I may come back to medium, but let's just go through. The second one is enhanced sharpness. Yes, I want to get that sharpness coming back on those elephants. So we'll let that process through. You can see it's very quick. It's just rendering a preview. Now I'm going to come to the Recover Details tab, and I was finding somewhere around 0.55 to 0.60 was really about where it should be. I'm not totally against noise. I don't think we have to get every ounce of noise out of a shot. In fact, let's come back to the remove noise because I still just think it's a little too pasty here. And let's click medium and let's see what we got going on here. Okay. Some noise has come back in. I don't think it's too objectionable. That's looking at this shot blown up at 100%. And I think it's done a fantastic job also. So let me cancel out of denoise. And I want to show you one other little trick before we wrap this up. I want to come here to my layers palette. If your layers palette isn't up, simply come to Windows, come down to layers. It's the F7 key. And once it's highlighted, hit Command or Control J to make a duplicate copy. And now we're going to go back into Topaz and we're going to come back into denoise. I got to get some of those older versions of denoise out of there. And again, we'll let this rendering, which there should be a way of stopping it, and I will contact the company and see if I am doing something wrong. When I hit, let me see if I hit cancel. Doesn't seem as if anything is happening, but maybe I'm doing something wrong. So let's not jump the gun here yet. All right, again, a little too pasty on the model of DeNoise AI, so I'm going to go to clear. And again, we have to let it run through for each step we make. Okay. And I'm going to add medium noise removal. And when that's done, we're going to come to enhanced sharpness, and I'm going to click high. So you can see you actually have a lot of choices here that you can play with to really kind of fine tune the way you want your image to look. And then lastly, I'm going to click on Recover Details. Now, when I click Apply, okay, it's going to process through. The reason I added the layer over here on the right side in Photoshop is because it's going to apply the noise onto this layer and not onto the background. And there's a reason specifically I did that, because we really haven't processed this image. It's still a very, very dark underexposed image. By the way, this is about as bad as you're going to get it. Most of your images are not going to look like this. But every once in a while, when the perfect moment happens, you know, it's Murphy's Law. This is when for me, I was at the wrong shutter speed. I was totally guessing at 1/40th, and I found out 1/5 or 1/10 is where I needed to be. Again, I wish I would have had a 600 f4 or my 400 2.8, but you know, you work with what you got. So all the noise reduction is on this layer. So what I want to do is now I'm going to turn that layer off, and let me close this box. And we're going to come and open this image into Adobe Camera Raw. And let's just go through and do a quick little workflow here. I always come into my setting my whites first. Back off when you see anything. My blacks, I just want a little blacks to show. I'm going to open my shadows. That's not going to be enough for this image. So I'm going to come over to my curves box. I'm going to leave it in parametric, parametric mode, not point mode. I'm going to come down to my dark slider because I need to really boost this up. Okay, and there's still quite a bit of noise in there, but it doesn't, to me, it's not objectionable noise. It looks pretty darn good in my opinion. And I'm going to click OK, and now I'm going to reactivate the noise layer. And whoops, we don't want to put the mask on that layer. Let me go backwards here. We want to scoot it up to this layer. Okay, so that layer, I want to come up here and I want to make that, well, we'll do that later. I want to make that a background layer. Now I'm going to go grab my brush, B for brush, and what I'm going to do is make sure that I'm opposite color of the mask. Mask is white, so my color swatch is white, and I got to activate the layer by clicking on it, and I'm going to start painting through this picture. Okay, and now I'm revealing the noise reduced picture where I want the noise reduction to really be. My opacity is 70. I may just take that right up to 100%, get the full benefit out of it. Okay, I do love that trail of smoke. That was what was drawing my eye. Okay, we're getting there. Size that down a little and we'll go a little bit more on this. And I can leave this area dark around it. This is kind of like a vignette. In fact, I'm going to flip the mask here and come to 50%, and I'm going to paint down some of that tree right there. And right over in there. Now, I think the elephants are still a little too dark, so we're going to put what I call a buffer layer in between, and that is 4 keys. So let's see how dexterous you are. That is Shift, Option, Command, and E. And it will create a layer that will affect everything underneath it. So what I want to do is first get the lasso tool, L for lasso. I'm going to make a very loose selection around these darker elephants. And I'm going to feather the heck out of it. Right click, and I'm feathering this like 500 pixels. I want a really smooth transition. So I got my selection. Now I'm going to come to the bottom of my layer palette and I'm going to go get my curves tool. And you can see where the data mask cuts off. That's just representative of what's inside the marching ants. And the marching ants have now been hidden, but they're still active. If you tap the H key, well, they should, it's maybe Command H. No, yeah, there it is. You would hide extras. So I'm going to cancel that. I know I have a selection made. That's all you need to know. And push up just a little bit. You don't have to go bonkers. But even if you do, you're on a layer. You've heard me say this a million times. You can take that opacity down there and bump it into taste. Okay? So I would have to play with this a little bit more. But overall, it's not bad. I mean, and that's really an image now that I could flatten and use. And I will let you be the judge on running your own tests. I happen to think if I had to make a choice, I would have gone with Topaz DeNoise Artificial Intelligence. I think it just does a better job on a super, super difficult image. Again, about as difficult as you could have made this processing. But what would be in the past a 100% throwaway, delete, get it out of here image is now very usable. And I could even work this image a little bit more and bump up some colors and do whatever else I needed to do. I've dealt with the main issue, which is the 12,800 ISO noise that was in that shot and probably a good 1.5 to 2 stops underexposed. Okay, so there you go. This software that's coming out from all these companies with the AI moniker on it. We're into that AI world. I just got back from Sony Condo 3 weeks ago where I talked to some engineers and tech people, and we're already well on our way inside of our cameras with AI intelligence, especially in the autofocus realm. And I wrote a blog about that real-time tracking is the real deal. So quit trying to outthink everything, gang. Just get out there and make these images, because the software folks and the hardware folks, you know what? They've got our backs on this. And the science and the art are merging. And it's really becoming an amazing thing, what we can do with our images. I'm not telling you to be sloppy, by no means, but we all are human. We all make mistakes. I made a mistake to start with this one. By the time I corrected it, I didn't like where the elephants were positioned, and obviously I couldn't have them go reposition themselves. So I hope this has helped you out. If you haven't seen my other video on denoise, sharpen, and gigapixel, go check that out. And then go to my website, www.donsmithphotography.com. Homepage, I think you know it by now. Click on the discounts and affiliates tab. Click on Topaz. It'll take you right there. Or if you just want to go to Topaz itself, when you get to the checkout, put in my code, which is SmithPhoto, all caps, and you will get 10% off of any of the great products that Topaz is offering. So until next time, this is Don Smith. I hope you'll leave a comment or two if you like this. And hey, if you want me to record videos on something else that you're interested in, no guarantees I will, but I'd always like to hear from you. And in the past, I have taken some suggestions and turned them into videos. I would love to do it. I'm home for a couple of weeks before I go back out on the road. So until next time, you take care.